Welcoming you to the playoff edition of Kirby's Kickoff. We've grinded our way through 10, 11 weeks of regular season high school football, and some teams in our local area have the opportunity and have earned the right to compete in the high school football playoffs. We have teams in Region 2B, 3B, and 4D who have all earned the right to move on to the first round of the high school football playoffs. Honestly, it's the best time of the year. It's going to be a lot of fun, ladies and gentlemen. High school football, and it's the playoffs. Once again, this is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. I'm your host, Josh Kirby. We have a lot to get to on this episode, but first and foremost, a huge thanks to our title sponsor, Frederick County Parks and Recreation, for all their support throughout the course of this regular season and beyond. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check out Kirby's Kickoff. It is much appreciated. You can find Kirby's Kickoff on all listening platforms, all streaming platforms, and YouTube. Make sure you give us a follow, like, comment, and subscribe. So first and foremost on the agenda, let's take you through the scores briefly from last week, the last week of the regular season. Starting off with a Thursday night matchup, the Clark County Eagles falling to Madison County 27-10. Clark was up at the half 10-0 over Madison County, but Madison County seemed to turn on the Jets in the second half. Some penalties backing the Clark County Eagles up. Unfortunately, Madison County coming away with the victory, ending Clark County's season. But make no mistake, I've spoke to Eagles head coach Casey Childs about the fight that his team put in and week out despite the result on the scoreboard. So an early end to the season for this Clark County team as they missed the playoffs in Region 2B. But make no mistake, this Clark County Eagles team will get better under this coaching staff with the offseason regimen and workout that they put in and year out. In the River rivalry, Skyline all over Warren County 43-6. Zayden Burks surpassing 2,000 rushing yards on the season for the Skyline Hawks. And for the third time, the Hawks get to hoist the River Rivalry Trophy presented by the River 95-3. Stay tuned. You'll actually hear some from Zayden Burks after reaching 2,000 season rushing yards as this Skyline Hawks team is clicking on all cylinders as they get set for a first round home playoff matchup. It was Bull Run District football. It was a lot of fun. Strasburg over Central 19-13. This was obviously not the cleanest game for Strasburg, but when needed, their defense stepped up in a big way to hold Central towards the very end. With this win for Strasburg, they win the Bull Run District, the first overall seed, and in Region 2B get a first-round bye. We'll discuss that more in just a little bit, but Strasburg, Braden Huff found Quincy Williams passing touchdown through the air later in the game, but Brady Knight starting things off earlier with the first half touchdown as Strasburg took a 7-0 lead. So Brady Knight seemed to be doing some great things. Quincy Williams did as well. And defensively for Strasburg, as I mentioned at the top, they took care of business. They did what they needed to do. James Wood on the road, capping off the regular season with a 59-13 victory over the Fauquier Falcons. Sherando all over the Liberty Eagles, 41-0, and on Saturday, the Handley Judges with a 62-21 victory over the Millbrook Pioneers. In that game, Will Yoder, 5 total touchdowns for the Handley Judges, 1 pick six, 4 receiving touchdowns. Jalen Washington as well had some carries rushed in for a touchdown at least. Jameer Washington making an impact, sort of split carries between the two backs, and Christian Dinge is a name you usually hear on the hardwood. He had a very nice touchdown catch as well. But for the Millbrook Pioneers, Raymond Holenback, a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown, turned on the Jets. They're really great to see a young kid in Raymond Holenback getting an opportunity. He had 3 touches of the football, if I remember correctly, in this game, and he scored a touchdown on 2 of those 3 touches, and that was later in the game. But the Handley judges, Coach Jake Smith, mentioned to me how his team, his offense was getting off to a lackadaisical start. That was not the case in this football game, as Handley defeated Millbrook 62-21. And that wraps up the Week 11 scoreboard, and that perfectly sets into the start of the high school football playoffs. We'll get you brackets, more information, all district information. That's all coming your way next. Stick right here with us. This is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com.
Bedbugs. The only thing creepier than thinking about them is actually having them. Trust me, you don't want to have them. Locally owned and operated Barrett Pest and Termite Services can keep you from having bedbug nightmares and infestations. Call 540-340-3922 to schedule your free inspection and consultation. If bedbugs are already in your home, we'll get rid of them so you can rest easy. We also specialize in keeping homes and businesses free of other pests, including rodents and termites. That's Barrett Pest and Termite Services, 540-340-3922.
And we welcome you back to Kirby's Kickoff. We're powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. Let's take a look briefly at All District, as All District has been voted and released, starting with the All Bull Run District. Offensive Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year, both Strasburg Rams on the offensive side of the football, Quincy Williamson on the defensive side of the football, Hudson Conrad. So congratulations to those 2 young men. Gage Gutierrez, Jacob Britton, both for Strasburg, as well as Jacob Stickley, Harper Sherman, and Drake Barton from Clark County, too. I was whiffing on that, but Drake Barton, the kicker from Clark County, he got first team on offense. And defensively for Strasburg, Jacob Britton, Gage Gutierrez, Nate Turner, Quincy Williams, Brady Knight, and for Clark County defensive side of the football as well, Drake Barton. So that is the Bull Run District, All Bull Run District. And in the Northwestern District, numerous names between Class 3 and Class 4, but we'll just take you through the Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Player of the Year, Class 3 Northwestern District. Can you guess? Zayden Burks from Skyline, obviously well-deserving of that award after what I've seen out of Zayden. So he gets tabbed as the Class 3 Offensive Player of the Year. The Class 4 Offensive Player of the Year, James Wood Colonel's quarterback, Owen Neal. Defensive Player of the Year in Class 4, JoJo Johnson from Handley. In the Class 4 Coach of the Year, Coach Jake Smith from John Handley as well. So that is a look at all district nominations in the Bull Run in Northwestern District, both Class 3 and Class 4. Congratulations to all those names that I have listed. We're going to take another quick break. We bring you the brackets as they are going into tonight's matchups in Region 2B, 3B, and 4D. Stick right here with us. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. It's the playoffs, round number 1, right here on Kirby's Kickoff. We're powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. Let's take a look at the playoff brackets as they stand going into tonight. In Region 2B, not a lot of action as the Strasburg Rams lock up the number 1 seed. At the other end of that bracket is Buckingham County with the first round bye, the number 2 seed. But Strasburg locking up the 1 seed, a first round bye. Here's a storyline, though. The Central Falcons hosting Mike Yo's Fort Defiance-led football team. Mike Yo, first-year head coach at Fort Defiance, spent many seasons in Woodstock as the head coach of Central. That's going to be an interesting storyline. Could we see a rematch of Strasburg and Central from the last week of the regular season, or does Strasburg get a chance to take on Fort Defiance? On the bottom half of that bracket, the Madison County Mountaineers, Madison County in Madison, Virginia, they're facing off against Stewart's Draft. The winner of that game will be traveling to face Buckingham County. So the 5 seed Fort Defiance, the 4 seed Central, 6 seed Madison County, the 3 seed is Stewart's Draft. Now let's take a look at Region 3B as it stands. The 1 seed facing off against the 8 seed, it is Warren County traveling up to face Kettle Run. You got James Monroe facing off against Brentsville, Culpeper County against Goochland, and Skyline hosting Meridian. Skyline, a team they just played Meridian 2 weeks ago. So again, they are hosting this Meridian Mustangs team, and there's some familiarity there with that since they recently had a matchup against Meridian. So Warren County traveling to Kettle Run, the 1 seed in the Region 3B playoffs, in the 3 seed in Skyline, hosting Meridian. Now, the Region 4D, here is how it stands. Sherando hosting James Wood. That is tonight. Handley hosts Liberty. The first time the Handley Judges have hosted a playoff game since Coach Jake Smith and his staff came on board for the football team. Other matchups include the number 1 seed George Washington out of Danville hosting Blacksburg, Jefferson Forest hosting EC Glass. So going to be very interesting how this bracket shakes out. But Sherando facing off against James Wood as they did once in the regular season. Handley traveled to Liberty last time, and they took care of business there very easily. So it's going to be very interesting to see 8 seeds in the Region 4D, 8 seeds in Region 3B, and 6 seeds in Region 2B. It's going to be a lot of fun. Region 2B bracket one more time for those of you on YouTube. Strasburg, the number 1 seed, Buckingham, the number 2 seed. But as it relates to our local area, Strasburg will host the winner of Fort Defiance and Central. In Region 3B, Warren County travels up to face Kettle Run and Skyline hosts Meridian. And in Region 4D, Sherando hosting James Wood and Handley hosting Liberty on Saturday afternoon. With that being said, that is the playoff picture going into tonight. Much more to come when we return. My conversations with Ryan Rutherford as the River 95.3 has the call, Skyline and Meridian. Dan Gloster of Winchester's Classic Country 95.7 will be on the call as Handley takes on Liberty. Plus, we'll hear from coaches throughout the area and more as we continue on Kirby's Kickoff. Frederick County Parks and Recreation is the title sponsor of Kirby's Kickoff and the Kirby on Sports podcast. So many things to do with Frederick County Parks and Recreation. The Thanksgiving Day 5K coming up in just a little while. It always sells out. Make sure you get your registration set before race day on Thanksgiving morning. Winter Wonderland, another huge hit. The lights at Clearbrook Park, and so much more. Frederick County Parks and Recreation. For more information, visit their website, fcprd.net.
Hey there, Kirby on Sports with Podcast fans. Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate here for you. Remember, if you have any real estate needs, buying or selling, I'm your guy. I would love to help you out. And you can also find me on my own personal podcast, Iconic Talk, where you get a chance to learn about the local real estate market and why Winchester is an amazing place to live. Reach out to me anytime, 540-247-1527, and find Iconic Talk anywhere you get your podcasts.
This is Kirby's Kickoff. We're powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad you're with us. It's the playoffs in Region 3B. The Skyline Hawks with a home playoff game against the Meridian Mustangs. And on the call for that matchup is Ryan Rutherford, one half of the broadcast crew with Randy Woodward on the River 95.3. Ryan, thanks for your time. Playoffs is finally here. But before we discuss the game at hand, the River rivalry game, an easy game for Skyline. It seemed like they were able to produce a lot of offense. And most importantly, the Class 3 Northwestern District Player of the Year, Zayden Burks, surpassing 2,000 season rushing yards.
Yeah, no, it was an incredible game, and that was clearly a big priority for Skyline, making sure he got to that 2,000-yard mark. I think they ran the ball like 10, 11 times to start the game, and then it would span like 2 drives essentially to make sure he got that mark. And then when they did, they made sure to call timeout so he could celebrate and get a game ball over to his family. The loud crowd unveiled a big banner for it, so it was a very festive atmosphere for his 2,000 yards. The team also all came out with ZB2K shirts on there, so for warm-up, so that was really cool. But yeah, it was a great river rivalry game. I mean, obviously it was all Skyline, but it was still full of a lot of big and exciting plays. Warren County was able to eventually get the goose egg off the board with the Adrian Craig touchdown, so they started to find a little bit of success with the Wildcat offense in the second half. So they had a little bit of positive momentum to try to take into their game versus Kettle Run, but Skyline will have a lot of momentum going into their game versus Meridian for sure.
Yeah, but overall, 3 years into the River in the River Rivalry Trophy, that relationship, if you will, 3 years in, how do you think it has grown and the community has come to embrace something like this? And just overall, how was the atmosphere in the evening in general?
Yeah, well, I mean, the crowd really came out. There was a great attendance for both sides in that game. I mean, the Warren County side's a little bit bigger, but it was filled up. And the Skyline side had practically no empty seats left. There were people standing along the fence at the one end zone. And but I mean, the game has always been big, but it's been great to see how the trophy and the branding of the rivalry, I guess you could say, has been really embraced by the team and everybody. And I remember the very first game, whenever I was walking in with the trophy, I heard like multiple people just saying like, what is that? like what is going on? And then now this year, I mean, we always are allowed to display the trophy on the field. Thanks to the athletic directors for letting us do that. So we always have it on the track. And while the first year people were wondering where it was, this year, whenever I ran to the bathroom at halftime, I saw people standing by the table and like taking pictures with the trophy and stuff like that. So it went from being something nobody knew what it was to now people are excited to see it and take pictures with it and everything. So yeah, it's been a very cool growth in a pretty short amount of time.
I will say I saw a recent picture, and the trophy looks a lot better now with nameplates starting to get added to it. If you
Yes, yeah,
get
that'll
what
look
I'm
great.
saying.
Yes. Yeah, it looked a little naked in the bottom with the very first year, but now we've got a couple plaques on there. I actually just went and picked it up from the school yesterday so we can get the next set of plaques put on there from our friends over at Jean's Jewelers. They always take care of that for us. So we'll get that on and return to them so they can have it in their trophy case until next year.
There we go. So, with that skyline, with an explanation point to cap off the regular season, now it's time for the first round of the playoffs as they host the Meridian Mustangs. And as I gather from Meridian's head coach, I talked to him earlier in the week. It seemed like their last official game, because if I recall correctly, they had Manassas Park towards the tail end of the season. Their last official game was against Skyline. So for this Meridian Mustangs team, they recently just played against the Skyline Hawks team. So you go with that, and the same for Skyline, but they had one game mixed into when the last time they played Meridian. So pretty unique set of circumstances in this round one playoff game.
Yeah, definitely unique. I don't know the last time I've seen a team in Meridian's particular case where you play Skyline just 2 weeks ago, and then you essentially have a bye week going into the playoffs with their game versus Manassas Park canceled. So they've had a lot of time to heal up and a lot of time to just think about this Skyline team and just been able to keep kind of that same game plan and prep focused on one team for basically 3 weeks now is pretty crazy. So that could benefit Meridian coming in, but also Skyline has the benefit of having a bunch of tape on them as well, seeing where they line up and what formations they like to go to. I do think this game has a lot of makings of being a pretty high scoring one. When they played a couple weeks ago, it was a pretty high scoring game. Zayden Burks, like he does every other game, he had an incredible one in that one. I think he had what 240 or something, and then he also had a kickoff return for a touchdown the last time they played. Or no, it was sorry, I undersold it. 345 yards for Zayden Burks last time, and an 80-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. So he had a really big day last time. Ended up slamming the door shut in that game with a third quarter touchdown. So I look for him to have another strong day. And I mean, when you have a guy that can run the ball like Zayden Burks, that's usually winning football.
I mean, Zayden Burks, I had an opportunity to talk with him as well, as you'll hear later on in this show, but it's just, he seems so humble about it. He's grateful for all the support, and he's just looking to make this Skyline Hawks team the most successful that they can be. And I feel like just the traction and the momentum that this Skyline Hawks team has is pretty big going into round one of the playoffs. I know that everybody says it's a clean slate, 0-0, but you have to factor in the momentum that this Hawks team has had, because they were on a very substantial winning streak after dropping the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah, I think a 7 game win streak now. So definitely all the momentum in the world on the Hawks side. And Zayden Burks is also playing his best football of the year now down the stretch. So that has been huge for them. But also, when you combine that momentum with, I think Skyline's going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder coming into this game. I don't think they're entirely pleased that they got stuck with the number 3 seed and were jumped by Culpeper County to go to the number 2 seed. So I think that's going to be something that really fires up this Skyline team. They're already firing on all cylinders, and now they feel disrespected on top of it all by dropping them in a seed after just completely annihilating Warren County. So I would not be surprised to see that play into it a little bit as they're going to come out with a little bit more of an edge. And then, of course, they would have the chance 2 weeks from now, if they are able to beat Meridian to then play Culpeper County, they would then have to go on the road where they were hoping to have that game at home. But then they can try to prove that they are the better team next week, potentially.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun as the Region 3B playoffs at Skyline and Meridian. I'll tell you, Ryan, I'm not sure how much of my coverage of that you saw, but last week, Strasburg and Central was a thriller. Not the cleanest football game, but Strasburg claims the #1 overall seed. In the benefit in Region 2B, they get a first-round bye. So whoever faces off between Fort Defiance and Central, whoever wins that game goes right back to Strasburg. It could be a rematch, Central and Strasburg, once again.
Yeah, it certainly could. And we've seen that in the past couple of years. I know the year Central went to the state championship game, we were part of that ride. The regional championship game that year was Strasburg versus Central. And Strasburg was favored in a lot of people's minds in that game, but then lost their all-district quarterback, player of the year, Ryan Roller, very early in that game. Central went on to win, and then eventually to the state championship game. So it's been a game that has had incredible implications in recent years. And also keep in mind, if Central does win, yes, it would set up that awesome rematch with Strasburg and Central. If Fort Defiance wins, that means Coach Yo would be going back to Strasburg as well. And so that's another cool storyline there, that Central Fort Defiance game with Coach Yo versus his former assistant, Rowdy Hoover. So a lot of cool storylines coming out of the Bull Run, or I guess the Region 2B playoffs.
And last but not least, I know you're kind of familiar with Region 4D as well, as you're in the area around. Can you believe that Blacksburg outpointed Salem, and Salem is not in the playoffs for the first time since 2004?
No, that is truly insane to think about. I mean, Salem high school football is usually incredible. I mean, they're constantly sending players to the Division I level. If you've ever been to Salem Stadium, it is an incredible facility, and they can fill that thing up on game day. So, yeah, that was pretty shocking to see. And, I mean, usually those more southern schools in Region 4, 4D come out ahead. But this year, maybe with Salem struggling, and maybe it could be our time, one of the northern half schools. Maybe it's Sherando, maybe it's Handley, maybe one of them can emerge. That would be really cool. I mean, I think we're obviously both rooting for a Handley versus Sherando matchup in maybe the championship, because I believe they're on opposite sides of the brackets. That would be the best for the area, but there's a long way to go for that, of course.
It should be a lot of fun. Ryan, I just can't believe we've already made it to the high school football playoffs. Time has flown by very quickly.
Yep, and high school basketball season will be here before you know it.
Yes, indeed. That's a conversation for another day, my friend,
Yes.
But we will get to that in due time. Ryan Rutherford on the River 95.3. He's with Randy Woodward as Skyline takes on Meridian. Ryan, have a great call, my friend. Always appreciate the time here on Kirby's Kickoff.
Thank you. We'll do it again next week.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, and we are back with more right after this. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. This is Kirby's Kickoff. We're powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad you're with us. It's the first round of the Region 4D playoffs. We take a look at a matchup a little bit closer as the Handley judges have earned the right to play at home in a home playoff game against the Liberty Eagles. On the call for that matchup is Dan Gloster with Winchester's Classic Country 95.7. Dan, my friend, we have reached the pinnacle. It is time for playoff high school football. Nothing beats it, my friend.
Second season begins. Your record doesn't matter now. You can pull the upset. You can be the lower seed and win. You can be the higher seed and move on. But that's why they call it the playoffs.
Absolutely. So looking last week, Handley, in the 2 weeks prior, and getting this from Coach Jake Smith, the Handley offense started off slow. He used the term lackadaisical. This was definitely not the case in this matchup against Millbrook. And key to that victory, I would say one of the big keys, Will Yoder, 5 total touchdowns on the day. We didn't get a chance to catch up after the game, Dan, but just what a performance by the Handley judges to close out the regular season.
Yeah, they all the way around they were strong. Even special teams. Josh Newcomb, I think 7 of 8 on extra points, and a point of emphasis from the James Wood game was a fair catching punts. Jake Smith gave me a really good piece of information about the analytics say that if you don't field a punt, you're going to lose on average 15 yards of field position. So remember, they got pinned back at their one, not once, but twice by the great special teams of James Wood. But Will Yoder would come up and he would make that fair catch, and that was that. And then you throw in the defense, which I had they allowed a net 10 yards in the first half to Millbrook, and the offense, clicking, very balanced, running and passing. It was a really good all-around effort for Handley heading into the playoffs.
And just what do you think about Will Yoder and what he presented just in your eyes from up top?
Just that he's a crafty receiver. He knows how to get open, knows how to bait the receiver into, or the defender into, jumping into him. Perhaps you got some critical defensive penalties, I believe, back in the Sherando game, and there was a young man for Millbrook, 24, Tito Gonzalez, and he just had a rough afternoon. He was on Yoder for the first 2 touchdowns. They switched him to Kristen Dinges, and Dinges hauls in a 51-yard TD pass. I think he got beat again, but he's just a sophomore, so he's got time to get better. But Handley definitely took advantage of what I think was really the Achilles heel of Millbrook coming down the stretch. Just their defense. They couldn't stop anybody after that 14-7 win at Kettle Run. The defense just had really, really tough time stopping anybody, and that was definitely the case in giving up 62 to Handley.
Well, we got to shine some light on Millbrook because they didn't just leave quietly from this game.
Mm-hmm.
Raymond Holenbach, the running back, I I mean, your call of this play probably was pretty crazy when he trucked that Handley defender, bounced off, and ran for the races and scored that touchdown. So some good things happened for the Millbrook Pioneers later in that game too.
Yeah, I mean, and they had a freshman playing to start the game, Abram Doyle, and then Hollenbach came in. He only touched it, I think, two or three times in the second half, but two of the times he scored touchdowns. So credit to them for not giving up, and that's I'm sure what Nick Manuel preached, and that program's going to be on the come, I believe, in coming years.
So take a look. Handley hosts Liberty. Last time Handley was on the road playing against Liberty in the regular season. This time Liberty comes to them. Looking at last week's Sherando with a dominant performance over the Liberty Eagles, and Handley with a dominant performance, but this was back earlier in the season against Liberty. What do you sort of gauge from the Liberty Eagles coming into this matchup?
Well, they've got some really, really good athletes. The quarterback is AP Hull. He was one of the first team selections at quarterback, along with Owen Neal from James Wood. So that's and there's some good quarterbacks in the district, no doubt. So you got that, and then you got Gavin Cook, he can catch it, he can run it, and he can throw it. So they've got some weapons. Going into that Sherando game, they were on a 5-game winning streak. Now, looking at their record a little bit more in depth, they've only beaten one team with a winning record, and that was James Wood. And that was, I believe, the week before, or maybe a couple weeks before the game with Sherando. But Sherando, they're tough, so they put a number on them. But you definitely can't take this Liberty team lightly. First time they will have been in the postseason in a few years, had a few down years, and this year kind of turning it on. And that program has had many a Hull, Hell, go through that program all the way back to when the school was pretty much started. So, yeah, it won't be a cakewalk for Handling, no doubt.
And for the Handley judges, the first time since Coach Jake Smith and his staff came to the football program, they get a home playoff game. I believe the last time Handley was at home, you were also doing that game, and it was a low-scoring game against either Loudoun County or Loudoun Valley, if I'm not mistaken.
It was Loudoun Valley, and I think it was 2019. I think then sophomore or then freshman Stephen Daly. They had a double pass, and the ball just went right off his fingertips. And I think if he catches that, he can either go the distance and score, or that first down, I think, would have run out the clock. But they gave up the ball, and then they gave up a score late to Valley. But they will definitely be glad to be home. And that was, I think, the difference in that and being on the road as a 3 seed, or being a 3 seed starting out, is the fact that Jefferson Forest lost the previous Friday night, whereas George Washington of Danville won. So that put Handley in the 2 seed instead of the 3 seed.
So that should be a lot of fun at the Handley Bowl playoff atmosphere, but on a Saturday afternoon. Let's look at the rest of the bracket. Another local game, the Sherando Warriors hosting the James Wood Colonels. Another rematch from a regular season matchup where Sherando traveled to face James Wood. What are your thoughts on that one?
Exact same scenarios last year, Josh. It was the 4 and the 5 squaring off, and Sherando, as they had done a year ago in the regular season, they handled James Wood pretty easily. They did it the same fashion in the playoffs. The game was a little more competitive this year, but James Wood has got to get a stop early on defense. They cannot let Sherando just march down the field like they did in the game in the regular season and score. And because I got to think at some point that mental thing about playing Sherando kind of creeps back into the those young men's heads that here we go again. So they gotta. I think that's going to be crucial. If they can get a stop early, that could go a long way to getting a win, and at the very least, I would think being competitive. But yeah, that and then the regular season, you got to throw it out. You got to learn what you can learn from that matchup, but then again, you got to forget about the outcome of it and just think positive thoughts because Sherando, they've been around this block before and they know how to play playoff football. They're the reigning Region D champion. So Sherando or James Wood, in one respect, they're on the road, Josh. Just, I mean, just throw out all the stops. Just throw everything at them that you got. Empty the playbook. Just because again, I think you've only beaten them once in the last 23 games. So you got to really just throw caution to the wind and just go for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, well said, Dan. So, other matchups. The 1 seed in this bracket is GW Danville in Region 4D. They host number 8 seed Blacksburg, who outpointed Salem. Salem's first time since '04, if I remember correctly, they missed the playoffs.
So did Salem and Blacksburg play in the regular season? I don't think they did.
I don't believe they did either.
Just all on points. Yeah.
All on PowerPoint. I think it was a 1 point difference based on what I gathered. A single point.
So yeah, I mean, just proves that as good as a program can be, you can have those years. They started out, I think, 0-3, maybe 0-4, and they finished strong, but just wasn't quite enough. So you're going to have that from time to time in a program, no matter how good you are. And that team has been pretty good. As like you said, 2004, last time they didn't make the postseason.
And Jefferson Forest hosting EC Glass. Don't really know a lot about these two teams, but based off last year, Sherando and Jefferson Forest faced off in the playoffs last year. That was a very competitive matchup with Jacob Henry playing that game. It was not a perfect game, but the Sherando Warriors got the job done against Jefferson Forest. So Jefferson Forest, I'm hearing, it has a very strong program down south. So we'll have to see how this game matches up against EC Glass in this first round between the 3 seed and the 6 seed.
Yeah, and if the seeds hold, the higher seeds win, then it'll set up Sherando going to George Washington of Danville and Jefferson Forest going to Handley. So that would be on the 14th and 15th, or no, the 21st and 22nd of November, a week from this Friday and Saturday, from what I would understand.
So that's going to be very exciting to see how the teams fare. Class 2 Region B, quickly. Strasburg, a first round bye. They host the winner of Central and Fort Defiance. And I know from the outside looking in, Dan, Strasburg Central to wrap up the regular season. That was a thrilling game to cover and watch. Strasburg gets a bye in the first round, getting set for a semifinal game, either between the winner of Fort Defiance or Central. So they could potentially see Central right back at their place come next week.
Yeah, that's kind of got a little side note to it too, and the fact that Mike Yo, the Fort Defiance head coach, longtime Central coach, is going to play his former team. So adds a little spice to that matchup for sure. But yeah, it's pretty wild that you would get that quick turnaround to Strasburg going right back to play Central. Not the easiest seed for Strasburg, but I guess it is what it is. But good luck to the Rams. We know Josh Haymore well, and good luck to him and the rest of the Rams as they try and get back to the state championship game. They lost to Graham last year, but they want to get back there and win it this year.
Absolutely. So looking briefly, Class 4, all Northwestern District teams are in. Class 4 Offensive Player of the Year, quarterback from James Wood, Owen Neal. Class 4 Defensive Player of the Year from Handley, JoJo Johnson. Class 4 Coach of the Year, Coach Jake Smith from John Handley. Your thoughts on all Northwestern District?
Just a ton of talent up and down both squads. They say with team success at least I do, team success comes individual accolades, and you're getting a lot of good players on there from, kids from Sherando and James Wood and Handley and probably Millbrook as well. I didn't look at the list real closely, but yeah, I think Rome Johnson made it as a wide receiver. But again, congrats to all those young men for a lot of hard work. I mean, we see the 10 games, but there's a ton of other work that goes into, being a good football player and a team coming together and being a good team that fans have no idea how much time is put into it. But kudos to all those young men. And I think probably they'll have some second team, maybe even third team selections coming out soon.
And I don't know if you heard, Dan, but last week, Skyline Warren County, Zayden Burks surpassing 2,000 rushing yards on the season. He wins Class 3 Offensive Player of the Year as the running back for the Skyline Hawks, which is well-deserved to him. Had a chance to speak with him about achieving that milestone, and he's excited but ready for the next matchup down in the Class 3 bracket as well.
Yep, and his little tidbit, his dad, Patrick, played at Handley, class of 2001, I believe. So yeah, that's some good bloodlines there for sure. And it looks like Skyline's the 2 seed. And is it what, Class 3? Is it Class 3D?
3B. And
3B,
they're the
okay.
3 seed hosting Meridian.
Yep. So, but yep. It's going to be tough for anybody to beat Kettle Run. I'll just say that.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, it's the high school playoffs region 2B, 3B, 4D. Dan Gloster of Winchester's Classic Country has the matchup Handley and Liberty on Saturday. Dan, thank you so much. As always a pleasure talking football. It's the playoffs, the best time of the year, and I'm sure we will catch you down the line in just a little while.
All right, Josh, thank you.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, and we are back with more right after this.
Located right here in Winchester, Virginia, Barrett Pest and Termite Services celebrates 25 years of service in 2022. And our veteran staff has over 100 years of combined experience preventing and remediating pest and termite infestations. From ants and termites on the ground to mosquitoes, yellow jackets, and hornets in the air, to one-time corrective services for rodents, to ongoing maintenance, Barrett does the job for residential and commercial customers. We also offer discounts for seniors, first responders, and military. What's bugging you? Let us know today, and we'll be out before you know it. That's Barrett Pest and Termite Services, 540-340-3922.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad that you're with us. Catching up with the head coach of the Clark County Eagles, Casey Childs. The Eagles season comes to an end playing Thursday night against Madison County. Coach, thanks for your time as always. And I know this team showed a lot of fight, a lot of effort, especially in the last game. I know in the second half sort of tailed away, but just overall a culmination of a season with a lot of young players on this team. How would you evaluate how much fight that your team showed despite the results throughout the season?
Well, I mean, they had a lot of resolve to them from the beginning. Obviously, it was not a season that we're accustomed to here at Clark. And, our kids had 2 choices. It was either get better or they could just accept what was going on and fold up. And our kids did not do that. They chose to keep fighting and to get better. And, midway through the year, towards the latter part of the year, we were a varsity football team, and we won a game. We were in competitive games. We gave ourselves a chance in a few of the games late in the season, and that was our ultimate goal. So needless to say, I'm extremely proud of the fight and the resolve of our kids, because all but about three kids. None of them had varsity experience going into this year. So they were thrown in the fire, and I'm hoping that in the years to come, they'll reap the benefits of what happened this year.
And you mentioned post game too that this team was probably one of the best teams you've had because all they do is work for you, play football, and there's no issues of any sorts outside of that.
No, I mean, and that includes their parents. I mean, there was never an issue. I just, it was really, I mean, take away wins and losses. It was really an enjoyable season just because the kids were some great kids to work with, and our parents were awesome. There was never an issue. There was never a moment where things were bad with kids and parents. So that's hats off to everybody. It tells you that our parents, they generally respect the job that we do, and our coaches respect the fact that we've got great kids, great parents, and it was a collective effort. And we're just hoping to build off of that for the next few years for sure.
So I saw a social media post, Clark County announcing the VHSL dead period, but I guarantee you, as soon as that dead period's lifted, you're back to work, getting ready for next season with the young talent that you have in order to build for the season to come. Am I on the right track?
I mean, as soon as Thanksgiving gets here and it's over with, it's going to be full tilt because we've got to hit the ground running, and it was preached to our kids. It's been preached to our parents as well. And there's really at this point, there'll be no excuses for why we're not trying to be what we need to do in the weight room and everything else. So I know our staff will be all over it. I know Coach Jarvis in the weight room will do a great job, and we will be having our kids in there. And typically over the years, we've got great weight room, turnout. It's just, it happened to be, this year where a lot of these kids are just new to us. So we lift twice a week during the season. So they got a decent base there. But obviously we got to build some strength and build some muscle and actually gain a little bit more, flexibility and athleticism in the off season. And that's what we're striving to do.
And tell me about maybe some players who are competing in other sports and how that can help them when it comes to this time next year football season to get them even better.
Well, when you're in a small school like us, anytime you specialize in any sport, I don't think that's a good thing. I'm speaking on behalf of the AD and the head football coach when I say that. I think that you become a better athlete by playing multiple sports. There's no question about that. I mean, I was a 3-sport kid growing up, and those kind of kids are starting to really kind of not be the same anymore. You don't see a whole lot of people doing 2 to 3 sports. The travel and the AAU is kind of taking over the world. So we've got a handful of kids for sure that are playing a winter sport, basketball, wrestling. A couple of kids are swimming, but we also have weight training classes. And a lot of the kids are in those classes, but then we'll also have the weight room open immediately after school. So if they have a late evening practice, then a lot of our kids can get in there after school before they go to their practice. And in the spring, it's the same concept that we'll make every availability and opportunity for the kids to get in there. But like I told the kids Friday night, I mean, yeah, play another sport. We want you to play. We'll be your biggest fans, but that's not going to excuse the fact that we need to lift weights and we need to get stronger and better. So it's a collective effort for sure. And it's an understanding that the parents and our kids and our coaching staff all need to understand that we're going to have to make arrangements for these kids to get in there. But that's typical for any school.
So, yeah, with that, I would imagine, in a sense, hanging up the whistle for the time being. And I know, Coach, as you just mentioned about your successful weight training program and getting the team back out to hit the ground running, but transitioning from hanging up the whistle to putting on your more AD role hat. I know in other sports around Clark County, cross country with a successful season, and as we're taping, volleyball is traveling in the region championship, plus winter sports start yesterday as we are taping as well. So a lot to be proud of in the other aspects of sports in Clark County.
Oh, no, we have a tremendous athletic program. I mean, there is no doubt about it. I would put it up against anybody in the state of Virginia at any level with the success that we've gotten. I mean, just think about it. Just this past, in the fall, our girls cross country team won the district, won the region, finished as a state runner-up. Our boys cross country team was second in the district, second in the region, and also the state runner-up. And then you got volleyball, who was a district champion, also the tournament champion, and now, like, tonight, hitting the Fort Defiance, playing the regional championship. So tremendous amount of success. Golf had a great season as well, finishes the district runner-up. So, with that being said, it was another great fall season. And as the time turns into the winter, we're looking for another, obviously, successful winter campaign from all of our teams. And I know our kids are going to play hard. That's never really an issue. But yeah, but the AD hat never leaves. It doesn't make a difference if I've got the whistle on my mouth or not. So my phone rings at all kinds of times. It doesn't make a difference if I practice or not. So, but yeah, I'm used to that. And I pretty much, if I'm not at my house, I'm here, during the week. And so it's one of those things where I've over 20 years of being the AD here and coaching, I'm used to it. I'm accustomed to it. My family is. So yeah, it's busy for sure. So we're ready to get it going again. But like I said, best of luck to our girls volleyball team tonight. It's a big one for sure.
Yeah, and even fast forwarding to the spring season, again, successful on the soccer field as well. So all around, like I just said, a lot of great athletics in Clark County, but all backed by the athletic director and head football coach, Casey Childs.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, we had a great year last year. I mean, both teams are obviously in the Final Four, and our girls went to the state championship in soccer. Our girls track team won the state championship last spring, and our boys won the district in the region as well on track. And our baseball and softball teams were also super competitive. So, yeah, it's exciting times, and it's hard to stay on top when you only, when you're in 2A school, when you're small, and a lot of your non-district games are against some of the 4As around us, because really not too many 2A schools that are around us in general, other than the schools that are in the Bull Run. So it's sometimes hard to schedule. Plus, you're also trying to schedule for competitive reasons and also gate reasons, because you're trying to make some money as well, because ultimately there's bills to pay with officials and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, it's exciting times at Clark for sure.
Absolutely. The Clark County football team with their season coming to an end. Always an honor and a pleasure catching up with the head coach of the Clark County Eagles, Casey Childs, week in and week out. I'm sure the conversations will continue off the camera, Coach, but certainly appreciate the time, and I'm sure whenever we see you either indoors or once it gets warmer, we'll see you out on the Gator driving around taking care of something around Clark County High School.
Yeah, warmer is the key, man. Warmer is the key.
Appreciate you, Coach. Thank you so much. Enjoy the off season.
All right, take care.
It's Jason, General Manager at Shenandoah Music, here to tell you all about...
Jay, what are you doing here?
Well, Matt, I'm trying to tell the people about our selection of guitars, basses, keyboards, drum sets.
I know that, but I always do the radio spots.
You get to have all the fun. I want to tell everyone about our huge selection, unbeatable prices, unmatched service, and in-depth knowledge.
Jay, I really don't think now is the time to discuss.
So remember, folks, when you think music, think Shenandoah Music in Winchester.
That's my line.
Are you looking to take the final steps in order to get your driver's license? Look no further. On the Road Driving School offers teen and adult driving, along with classroom sessions for teens and adults, DMV re-exam classes, and driver improvement classes. On the Road Driving School has what you need in order to get on the road. Contact them today at 540-869-6105. That's On the Road Driving School. 540-869-6105. On the Road Driving School will get you on the road. This is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad you're with us. Round one of the playoffs in Region 3B. The Warren County Wildcats travel up to face Kettle Run last week, falling in the river rivalry to Skyline 42-6. Now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Warren County Wildcats, Josh Breeden. Coach, thanks so much for your time. I know not the way you want to end up with a loss to cap off the regular season, but what stood out from you and your team despite the outcome on the scoreboard?
Well, again, another game where we're kind of plagued by injuries. A lot of our day one of the season starters were out because of injuries. So it was good to see some of the young guys get in there and compete a little bit. Obviously Skyline's on a hot streak right now, having a lot of success with their run game offensively, and then defensively, those two linebackers fly around. So I was pleased to see some of my young guys compete. You know, hats off to Skyline and everything they're doing over there. Zayden Burks is a phenomenal athlete, and we knew that. We were preparing for him, but there's really nothing you can really do at practice to simulate just how good he is. So, again, you know, proud of my young guys for fighting the whole game. We had a little bit of momentum in the second half, had a couple good offensive drives. But you know, it is what it is. We're moving on, and everybody's 0-0 right now, so we got to do everything we can to be ready for Kettle Run.
You mentioned 0-0. It's a clean slate. What's the importance, and what are you trying to push to your team in terms of this is basically a brand new season when it comes to playoffs? Your team has an opportunity to compete in the playoffs. So what's sort of the message along those lines?
Well, you know, everybody loves an underdog story, and, you know, people will talk to us about the rankings, and, you know, we're playing the number one team. It is what it is. We got to focus on what we can control, and what we can control is cleaning up our mistakes, really making sure everything's polished on offense and defense, making sure our checks and alignments are right, and then just execute our assignments. You know, we've played Kettle Run already this year. We played them in the regular season. You know, we know the challenges that they're going to bring to us, or we're going to, you know, have to deal with on Friday night. And, you know, it is what it is. I think that we have a really good athletic team. I think these young guys are really stepping up and kind of finding their place in this football world. And some of our guys that have been injured will be back, so that'll be good. Give us some juice on both sides of the ball. You know, but again, like you said, man, it's 0-0, clean slate. It's the road is ours to decide which way we're going to go. You know what I mean? We win and go home, or we lose and go home, or we win and keep playing. So, you know, these seniors really need to step up and understand that this could be their last opportunity to play football, and, you know, fight for another week with their brothers.
What's the importance from a coaching perspective? You played this team once in the regular season, and do you look back at tape from the previous game in terms of how you prepare for this time around?
Yeah, I think you need to look back and see, you know, kind of what was their plan. You know, what was their plan to attack us offensively, and then defensively, you know, what are some things that they were trying to expose? You know, I think that we made a lot of mistakes on both sides of the ball the last time we played them. I think that we've cleaned some things up, but I know that that coaching staff is going to do a phenomenal job of having a good game plan, and we have to be ready to adjust and coach on the fly and see, you know, what they're bringing new to the table. You know, obviously Tapscott playing quarterback for them is a phenomenal athlete, very explosive. They have some dogs up on the offensive defensive line, and Justin Rogers is a phenomenal athlete. He was an all-state kid last year. You know, so they definitely have some guys that are going to create some challenges for us. So we have to put together a really good game plan to execute.
And you mentioned some players that you're getting back in this game. How huge is that you're getting some of those key guys that can provide maybe that explosive burst that you didn't have last time around towards the tail end of the regular season?
Well, it's going to be, you know, it's always good to have your day one starters back. You know, having more options, you know, when things get bleak is always a good thing. You know, the difficult thing about having injuries to start a game is if somebody goes down during the game, is figuring out what you're going to do after that. So having the day one starters back, and then these backups that have now got experience, have that experience under the belt in case something goes wrong and we have to put them back in the game. They know exactly what to do. They've been there before. They've been in that situation. So it's going to be phenomenal to get those guys going again. You know, the leaders and the seniors of the group, it's good to have them back on the field, but I know the young guys are going to be ready if their number's called too.
It is the playoffs. Warren County traveling up to Kettle Run in the first round of the Region 3B playoffs right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Always a pleasure catching up with the head coach of the Warren County Wildcats, Josh Breeden. Coach, certainly appreciate the time. We will catch you down the line.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, and we are back right after this. Fall is here, and New Look Landscaping has everything your home needs to look its best. Brighten your yard with colorful mums available now. And don't forget, New Look offers professional power washing to give your home a fresh, clean look. Call New Look Landscaping today at 540-327-1244 or email them 2025.nulook@gmail.com. Zayden Burks joining me, a very special guest. Zayden, thank you for your time. Congratulations on 2,000 yards on the season. Big one against Warren County and just surpassing that record. Well, what did it mean for your team? I saw the ZB2K shirts on. A lot of support across the community. What were the emotions like for you?
The emotions are really high, breaking a record like that. I never thought that I'd be where I am today. So
And it obviously going to the offensive line, continuing to help you make those strides. How huge have they been through this process in general, and in terms of your winning streak to gaining more success?
they're a big help. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. They do their job so I can do my job. So it just helps the whole team out.
And, what stood out in the victory against Warren County? I know with the River Rivalry Trophy involved, it's a great game for the community in terms of playing together and everybody knows each other and fighting to win a pretty nice trophy as well.
It felt really nice, being out there playing the sport you love with all your friends. So it was real nice.
And last but not least, obviously moving into the playoffs, putting an explanation point on the regular season, if you will, with the winning streak that this team went on. What's sort of the message and the mindset as you move through getting set for the first round of the playoffs?
But we still got to keep going. We can't take no team for granted, and we've got to keep the foot on the gas and just beat every team that steps in our way.
And just what's the motivation been like too, just in terms of the success that you all have had throughout this regular season, just keeping that momentum going through the playoffs?
We believe we're the best team in the district, so just knowing that, staying positive, so we feel pretty good.
That's Zayden Burks. He just rushed for 2,000 season rushing yards. Very explosive athlete. When you go out and watch Skyline Hawks football, tremendous amount of respect for you, Zayden, and I appreciate a little bit of time with us.
Thank you.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad you're with us, getting you set for the first round of the high school football playoffs in Region 3B. The Skyline Hawks host the Meridian Mustangs. Last week, the Hawks claimed for the third time the River Rivalry Trophy with a 42-6 victory over Warren County. Now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Skyline Hawks, Heath Gilbert. Coach, a very broad question here, but your first three games of the season falling to Strasburg, Kettle Run, and John Handley, and not a loss after that. To cap off the regular season with a big win over Warren County, how does that make you and the coaching staff feel that going on a huge winning streak and putting an explanation point on a pretty fun and exciting regular season, if I would say so myself?
What we love about it is our kids didn't quit on themselves. It's tough being 0-3. We asked those kids to work hard, and then we weren't getting results we wanted on the scoreboard, but they stayed at it. They continued to work in the weight room. They continued to work in practice, and things started to turn our way, and we got on a run, and we were able to finish the job. We had some tough opponents in that stretch. Some opponents I feel like that we were better than, but we had some that could go either way, and we were able to make those plays in those games to make that happen for us.
So looking at this game, obviously the big storyline, your running back Zayden Burks hitting 2,000 rushing yards on the season. I know you all went out. I'm not sure if it was you, Coach, but you all went out, had ZB2K shirts made. And just what was that like, seeing Zayden hit that milestone this season?
We definitely embraced it. It was a special moment in our program's history to go. We may never have another 2,000-yard back. I was at Warren County. We had HB Benjamin. He went over 2,000 yards twice, but that was the first time in our history at Warren County for a running back to do that. And then to have one here at Skyline, I think we're 17 years in, and it's just really it's a special moment. And I think our guys embraced it, and they took a lot of pride in it. It wasn't just Zayden Burks. He appreciated his line and his fullbacks and all this wide receiver blocking to be able to accomplish that. It was a really cool moment, and we were happy to celebrate that.
What else stood out to you that worked really well for your team offensively and defensively?
I just think our physicality up front on both sides of the ball that sets the tone for us. I think we held them close to zero negative yards in the first half. In the second half, we got a lot of guys out there to be able to play, so everyone was able to be on the field and celebrate that crosstown rivalry and have a piece of it against Warren County.
So, Coach, with a win like this, hoisting the River Rivalry Trophy, I know we spoke about how great it is for the area, but now it's time for the playoffs. And a week prior to your game against Warren County, facing off against a Meridian team that you're facing right again in the first round of playoffs. Yeah, I mean, a team you faced literally not that long ago. What is that like, getting a chance to face a familiar opponent in the first round?
We similar last year. We played Brentsville end of the year, towards the end of the year, then flipped and turned them again, played them again in the playoffs. What it does is allow you to look at what you did well and what you didn't do so well, and try to keep it going and then improve on it. And then you have to kind of prepare for what are they going to do to try to take away what you did well. So it's a chess game that we play. No, we're definitely dialed in and focused on what we think we need to do defensively to be better, and we're going to work hard on that and work hard on practice tonight and today, and then the rest of the week.
So in the playoffs, a lot of people have told me it's a clean slate. Everybody's 0-0. What's the message to your team after a big winning streak to stay the course and continue doing what this team has done so well into the first round of the playoffs?
After the game on Friday night, we told them, congratulations. Now it's a new chapter. Everyone is 0-0, and we have to be 1-0 on Monday, 1-0 on Tuesday, 1-0 on Wednesday, and so off throughout the week. So hopefully we have a chance to be 1-0 on Friday night. So that's the goal, to prepare like we have been all year long. Don't take anything for granted. It doesn't matter that we beat Meridian already. What's going to matter is how we play on Friday night. If we're sloppy, we turn the ball over, we give them extra opportunities, they can beat us. We know that. So we're going to work hard to play our best football.
And a lot of building blocks, I would imagine, off the game last week. What do you look to take out of the game against Warren County into this game, and what are sort of your keys to victory?
It's always being physical up front on the offense and defensive side of the football. We have to be the most physical team to give ourselves a chance for what we want to do. We want to run the football, and then off that comes all of our play action and boot opportunities that we can try to hit for big plays. But it starts with being able to run the football.
It is a first-round playoff matchup as the Skyline Hawks host the Meridian Mustangs in Region 3B. Always a pleasure catching up with the head coach of the Skyline Hawks, Heath Gilbert, right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Coach Gilbert, certainly appreciate your time again.
Thank you, and go Hawks.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, and we are back with more right after this. Frederick County Parks and Recreation is the title sponsor of Kirby's Kickoff and the Kirby on Sports podcast. So many things to do with Frederick County Parks and Recreation. The Thanksgiving Day 5K coming up in just a little while. It always sells out. Make sure you get your registration set before race day on Thanksgiving morning. Winter Wonderland, another huge hit. The lights at Clearbrook Park, and so much more. Frederick County Parks and Recreation. For more information, visit their website, fcprd.net. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. This is Kirby's Kickoff. We're powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad you're with us. It's the first round of the Region 4D playoffs. The James Wood Colonels traveling to face the Sherando Warriors. Last week, traveling to Fauquier and defeating them 59-13. Now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the James Wood Colonels, Todd Wilson. Coach, I know two tough losses prior to the game at Fauquier, but it seemed like getting back on the right track with a scoreline of 59-13. What really stood out in this matchup, and how did it feel just capping off the regular season with a dominant win like this?
Yeah, our guys were excited to play. It's been sort of an issue with us, going on the road and then trying to get off a bus and, arriving places, late and then just, not having a normal routine. And we tried to do that even, the week, prior, with, senior night, we kind of had to shorten things up there when we against Handley. So we kind of tried to keep that same routine. The kids played really hard that week. So we tried to keep the same routine and shorten it up a little bit. We can only do so much. And it kind of goes back to the players and how they prepare and, their excitement level for the game. And I thought we did a really good job of staying focused and just showing up and being excited to play a game of football.
What stood out to you first offensively with 59 total points scored on the board? And I know how you like seeing all your different playmakers making some explosive plays out there. What really stood out to you offensively first and foremost?
Yeah, I mean, we had good protection. We had good protection to throw the ball. We had multiple guys that scored touchdowns. Owen got in the end zone again. We had guys that haven't been in the end zone lately get back in there. Caden scored. Jackson Ledford ran the ball really hard for us late in the game. We gave him a few more touches. So he ran the ball really hard and physical. Jeremiah Hodell ran the ball really well. So we were able to, run the ball, throw the ball a little bit, spread it around. So, it was just good to get back on that routine or that role that we were kind of on there for a while offensively.
And you were talking to me last week about how Fauquier runs with maybe a different quarterback, but just limiting them to 13 points. Seemed like defense wasn't really too concerned, and they were very much prepared for the task at hand. What can you say about the defense?
Yeah, I thought our run defense played really well. They ran 32 offensive plays. So, I mean, we were getting them off the field. We still, gave up, a couple of deep shots. They scored one, long touchdown pass against us. So it wasn't necessarily poor coverage. The kid was in really good position. He just made a bad mistake by turning his head. He was in man coverage and kind of turned his head and tried to look for the ball before he needed to and got a little bit of separation there. Gave up one score there. Their receivers are really good. They're both, big and tall. Number 9's a really good football player. So we knew we were going to give up some yards there passing just because they had their quarterback coming back. The number 9's a really good receiver. But we felt pretty good about what we did defensively, trying to stop the run and did a better job of that, which we hadn't done, the greatest all year at stopping the run. And so it feels good to get in a situation where we're trying to do that and the outcome was successful.
So taking a look into this week, it's the first round of the playoffs, Coach, and I know you've mentioned that your team prepares the same week in and week out, and I would imagine that is the same for playoffs as well. But I'd like to ask the benefit, and I believe I've asked you this last year, not comparing last year to this year, but in the situation that you've played a team that you've already played once in the regular season. What's the benefit of seeing a team twice, once in the regular season, once in the playoffs, and how maybe from a coaching perspective does that help with preparation going into the game on Friday night?
Well, I mean, I don't know about it from year to year, but from, earlier in the year, I mean, that seems like a while ago. We played them. Obviously, we went back and watched that film. For us, it gave us a lot to look at. I mean, we were on the losing side of that. So, I mean, for us, as we studied that film, immediately after the loss, as we do with every film, not just that week, but we realized things we needed to fix. So, it helps us, winning and losing. You always go back and evaluate the film, but especially when you lose, you can go and look at, the reasons why you gave up the yardage you gave up, or, was it poor execution? Was it just maybe poor tackling, or what alignment, assignment? So these are all things you're evaluating. So, it's not necessarily just because it was Sherando. We do that every week. We go back and looked at that tape and just tried to fix what we do. They've installed different things. They're doing things probably a little bit different than they were back then. So, there's always unknowns of going into a game. But yeah, you can scout and prepare as best you can, but you also have to be willing to make in-game adjustments because, their coaching staff's a really good coaching staff as well. They've watched our films that we've played. So you got to be ready to make in-game adjustments as well.
How does it feel with the team that you have, and you always have told us that you're preparing the same week in and week out? How does it feel that they're keeping that routine the same, not getting off track just because this is the playoffs?
Yeah, we're just looking at it as another week of football. It's exciting. I love the game of football. People can complain about it being, really, really cold out at practice and things like that. It's, we're taking it as a blessing that we get another week to play. We explained to the kids that there's a lot of kids around the state and around the country that are turning in equipment. Especially for a lot of seniors. That's what makes football such a great sport. You only get 4 years up in high school, and a lot of kids after that, it's over. There's not a whole lot of pick up tackle football with padded practices after that. You can go and shoot basketball. You can go play golf. You can swim. You can play volleyball. You can throw cornhole. You can do all those things later in life as 40, 50 years old if you want. Football is a special thing. We just made sure they understand that this is, important, but, it is just like it was week 1, week 2, week 3. We're preparing the same way. We're practicing the same way. We're just trying to get better.
So it's a playoff matchup. The James Wood Colonels traveling to face the Sherando Warriors. And one last thing, Coach. Obviously, All District coming out today. Owen Neal named Offensive Player of the Year in Class 4. If you wanted to just give you the floor and talk about what this honor means to Owen and anybody else who made the All District list on your football team.
Yeah, it's well deserving. Just to speak of Owen, his numbers speak for themselves. But what you don't see with the numbers is how he carries himself, the work ethic. I don't know if I've been around another kid who works harder than he does. He prepares, with his nutrition. He's seeing the trainer. He does his own training at home, as far as taking care of his body. Cold plunges, red light therapy. He's all in about what he's trying to accomplish. He's got a goal set for himself, and he's really striving to make those things happen for him. He's not leaving any stone unturned to do the best he can. And he's just a great human being. Whatever he does post athletic career, he's going to be a great citizen. He's going to be a great husband, father, and so on. So I can't be more proud of just him as a person. And then obviously, like I said, his numbers speak for himself. Turn on the film, watch him play, come to a game and watch how he carries himself and conducts himself. He's a true leader, and he's a great representative of we want all of our, Colonel athletes to be like. And then all the other guys, we had several other guys make first team as well. We had a couple make second team and then honorable mention. And all those guys are well deserving. Adric Urish as well. He was one of Owen's top receivers. Again, it goes back to, their freshman year, those two battling it out to see who's going to be the starting quarterback. I've mentioned it before, Adric could have, pouted or complained or threw in the towel and just gave up on himself, but he didn't. he was always there ready to be prepared to be the starting quarterback. If something happened to Owen, he shifted roles into a wide receiver, had over 900 yards receiving, just short of 1,000 yards, which is tremendous in high school football. So I can't be more proud of that kid as well.
It's the Region 4D playoffs. James Wood traveling to face Sherando. Always a pleasure catching up with the head coach of the James Wood Colonels, Todd Wilson, right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Coach, certainly appreciate your time again, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Josh.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, and we are back with more right after this. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com.
Hey there, Kirby on Sports the Podcast fans. Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate here for you. Remember, if you have any real estate needs, buying or selling, I'm your guy. I would love to help you out. And you can also find me on my own personal podcast, Iconic Talk, where you get a chance to learn about the local real estate market and why Winchester is an amazing place to live. Reach out to me anytime, 540-247-1527, and find Iconic Talk anywhere you get your podcasts.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad you're with us. It is the start of the high school football playoffs. The Sherando Warriors get a home playoff game against the James Wood Colonels last week at home, wrapping up the regular season with a huge 41-0 victory over the Liberty Eagles. Now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Sherando Warriors, TJ Rohrbal. And Coach, I know you emphasize week in and week out sticking to your game plan, and it seemed to work out really well. Starting defensively, I know a big play, Andrew Taylor taking an interception return for the touchdown, but as a defensive-minded head coach, how huge was it that defense made such an impact in this game against Liberty?
Well, it was good. We had a game plan, and our guys were disciplined. They were able to execute the game plan, and I was very happy with the way we played on the defensive side of the ball.
And Jacob Henry and Jalen Tasco-Murray on the offensive side of the football, generating a lot of success and explosive plays as well. What stood out offensively that was clicking so well?
Well, we did a good job up front. Anytime that you're able to win the battle along the line of scrimmage, that sets you up to have big plays, be successful on offense. So, I thought everything started up front, and those guys up front did a good job for us.
And the offensive line, they seem to not get enough credit. How huge has the offensive line been for your offense in generating explosive plays for your team? Because it seems like across the board, your football team has had some pretty big plays throughout the season in general.
Yeah, the games that we've lost, we weren't as strong up front, and a lot of that had to do with the teams we were playing and the quality of play that they had up front. But the games that we've been able to win are games where we've been successful in the trenches, and, that's a big part of the game. So, hats off to those guys for doing a good job this past week.
Coach, entering the playoffs, facing off against the James Wood Colonels, a familiar opponent which you have played once in the regular season. What's it like preparing for a team that you've already played for in the regular season in the playoffs?
Oh, you just like I say it every week. We prepare the same way every week, no matter what the team is. We had some success defensively last time, some things that we need to clean up, but it's not deviating too much from what we do. We're going to line up, we're going to run our defense, and hopefully make plays and be better this time around than we were last time.
And how huge is it you're sticking to the same game plan, nothing changes? It maybe sort of like you're not even thinking that it's playoffs, it's just another game. Am I on the right track?
Absolutely. I mean, you got to do what you know. You got to do what you know best on defense, and our guys are getting comfortable in our system, and so we're going to come out and we're going to do what we do defensively.
And you mentioned comfortable. How huge is it that you feel like your players are comfortable in the system that you have in place this late into the season when it comes to playoff football?
Well, just being comfortable, taking the thinking aspect out of it's what allows you guys to play fast and be able to execute and do all the things like, defeating blocks, making tackles, all those things that show up on Friday night. So, it's good that our guys have that level of comfortability and hopefully they can go out there and execute on Friday night.
It's a Northwestern District battle, but in the first round of the Region 4D playoffs, the Sherando Warriors hosting the James Wood Colonels. It is always a pleasure catching up with the head coach of the Sherando Warriors, TJ Rohrbal, right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Coach Rohrbal, always appreciate your time again, sir.
All right, thank you, Josh. I appreciate it.
Bedbugs. The only thing creepier than thinking about them is actually having them. Trust me, you don't want to have them. Locally owned and operated Barrett Pest and Termite Services can keep you from having bedbug nightmares and infestations. Call 540-340-3922 to schedule your free inspection and consultation. If bedbugs are already in your home, we'll get rid of them so you can rest easy. We also specialize in keeping homes and businesses free of other pests, including rodents and termites. That's Barrett Pest and Termite Services, 540-340-3922.
It's Jason, General Manager at Shenandoah Music, here to tell you all about...
Jay, what are you doing here?
Well, Matt, I'm trying to tell the people about our selection of guitars, basses, keyboards, drum sets.
I know that, but I always do the radio spots.
You get to have all the fun. I want to tell everyone about our huge selection, unbeatable prices, unmatched service, and in-depth knowledge.
Jay, I really don't think now is the time to discuss.
So remember, folks, when you think music, think Shenandoah Music in Winchester.
That's my line.
This is Kirby's Kickoff. We're powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad you're with us. It's round one of the Region 4D playoffs. The Handley Judges have a home playoff game on Saturday afternoon against the Liberty Eagles last week at the Handley Bowl, defeating the Millbrook Pioneers 62-21. Now pleased to be joined by the newly named Class 4 Coach of the Year, Coach Jake Smith. Coach, thank you so much for some time with us. Newly named Class 4 Coach of the Year in the Northwestern District. First and foremost, what does that honor mean to you?
I don't really think it's a big deal. I think it's more of a team award more than anything. And that's a credit to our staff and our kids and the successful season that we've had.
Absolutely. So going into the game against Millbrook seemed like everything was clicking to the standard, I would say. Obviously, not a lackadaisical start by any stretch. Just take us through what really pleased you out of your team's performance on Saturday.
Well, I think offensively, the ability to run the ball early in the game, hit some deep shots and play action, were aided into a lot of our success. And then defensively, being able to generate a pass rush with four guys and leave the rest in coverage and force incompletions, kind of swayed the game the way it was in the first half. But there's still some things that we had issues with, as far as delay game penalty, procedure penalty on kickoff, things of that nature that need to get cleaned up before we move into this week's game.
Absolutely. And just in terms of the game plan and preparation, I know you do everything pretty much the same. And I'm going to ask you this. I'm not sure if this is an issue at all, but I saw on social media you kind of had to turn the scoreboard lights on, the school lights on, because it's getting darker earlier? Because deeper into the season, when we're hitting playoffs, it's getting darker earlier. Does that have any effect? And if so, how do you make sure your team gets the full amount of preparation in to whatever is game planned out for practice each and every day?
Well, I think one thing, we have good support from administration, and so we bring lights into the field, portable lights, and so we have the ability to light the field for practice, which I think is a good thing for us. But really, it doesn't change a whole lot of what we do and how we do it. With the ability to, to have light at the end of practice, there's not a whole lot of difference.
Absolutely. And Coach, do you? I know we talked post game after the game about getting a home playoff game instead of going on the road. I know your team has been accustomed the last 2 seasons to traveling on the road, but how huge is it you're back at home another week when it comes to the playoffs?
I think it's a good thing for us to be able to play where you practice. As you mentioned, the last, 2 seasons, we've had to drive over 3 hours to play in a playoff game. And so, for this week, we don't have to do that, which I think is a good thing for us.
And what are sort of your keys to victory? And what do you look to sort of bring in from the last game against Millbrook into this matchup against Liberty?
Well, I think defensively for us, we got to contain the quarterback. It's 3 weeks in a row we've seen a really talented guy at the quarterback position. Probably has the strongest arm of anyone that we've seen this year. He can throw the ball at 60 to 65 yards down the field without blinking an eye. So, one, we got to generate pressure. And 2, we got to make sure we do a great job in the secondary of playing deep and covering those guys all the way to 60 yards, which is something we haven't really had to do this year. And then offensively, we got to get the run game going early on in the game. We got to establish a line of scrimmage and be very physical.
Is there a benefit to playing a team you've seen already once in the regular season when it comes to the playoffs in your mind?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think playing somebody that you're familiar with can go one of 2 ways. But really the advantage I think lies with the team that lost that first round. They have everything going for them into that second game, and so our goal is to make sure the kids are focused and they're not getting complacent because we've won against this team once already this year, and so that's our main challenge this week, and getting the guys to rise to the occasion. So far, I think they've done a great job with it.
So it's the Handley Judges with a home playoff game against Liberty. And as I mentioned from the top, Coach, you were named Class 4 Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, JoJo Johnson for Handley, and your other players. If you want to, the floor is yours just to speak on the players and what it means for them to get these honors in all district voting.
Yeah, I mean, we could start with JoJo and, Defensive Player of the Year. He was Defensive Player of the Year last year in our district. He was Defensive Player of the Year in our region last year and was an all-state selection. And I think he's playing better football this year than last year. He might not have the same numbers statistically, but I think that's because we're better up front on the defensive line. But as far as his play goes, he gets better every week, and he's done a great job of, working towards that, starting in the off season, coming into this year and not getting complacent. And right next to him is Trent Gomez. It was also first team all selection at linebacker. Trent often, I think, gets overlooked because of, JoJo's notoriety, but Trent is a great football player for us, and I'm glad that he had that opportunity to get that first team selection this week as well. And then our 2 defensive backs, first team guys, Amari and Will, have done a great job for us, all year long. So rounding out the defense, it's good for those guys to receive that recognition.
Absolutely. Should be a lot of fun as the Handley Judges are back at the Handley Bowl, the first round of the Region 4D playoffs, facing off against the Liberty Eagles. Always a pleasure catching up with the head coach of the John Handley Judges, Jake Smith, right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Coach, certainly appreciate your time again, sir.
Yep, thanks for having me.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, and we are back right after this. Are you looking to take the final steps in order to get your driver's license? Look no further. On the Road Driving School offers teen and adult driving, along with classroom sessions for teens and adults, DMV re-exam classes, and driver improvement classes. On the Road Driving School has what you need in order to get on the road. Contact them today at 540-869-6105. That's On the Road Driving School. 540-869-6105. On the Road Driving School will get you on the road. Fall is here, and New Look Landscaping has everything your home needs to look its best. Brighten your yard with colorful mums available now. And don't forget, New Look offers professional power washing to give your home a fresh, clean look. Call New Look Landscaping today at 540-327-1244 or email them at 2025.nullook@gmail.com. Frederick County Parks and Recreation is the title sponsor of Kirby's Kickoff and the Kirby on Sports podcast. So many things to do with Frederick County Parks and Recreation. The Thanksgiving Day 5K coming up in just a little while. It always sells out. Make sure you get your registration set before race day on Thanksgiving morning. Winter Wonderland, another huge hit. The lights at Clearbrook Park, and so much more. Frederick County Parks and Recreation. For more information, visit their website, fcprd.net. This is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad you're with us. This wraps up another fun-filled episode. We appreciate you sticking with us here on Kirby's Kickoff. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us. Again, you can find us on all listening platforms, all streaming platforms, and YouTube. Make sure you give us a follow, like, comment, and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated, all the support, and you can find more of our work with the Kirby on Sports podcast at www.kirbyonsports.com. That wraps it up. We hope you enjoy round one of the high school football playoffs, and we will catch you all down the line. Have a great rest of your weekend.